Welcome to Nebraska Ag Live, a production of the American Ag Network and News Channel Nebraska. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and let's join the conversation with Susan Littlefield. Well, happy Wednesday once again to everybody. I'm Susan Littlefield with the American Ag Network, and welcome to another edition of Nebraska Ag Live. You know, it may be the month of July, but we already know that combines are set to start rolling in the South as they get ready for this year's harvest, which means before you know it, it is going to be September and we're going to need to be harvesting. I'm excited for today's opportunity because we're going to talk about ways that we're going to be able to save you money in the end with some great products that are out there. But more importantly, to get you thinking about what you thought was on your combine might not be exactly what you need. As you can see, joining me today is Shianne Reynolds. Shianne, of course, is the technical sales manager at Bushel Plus. And I am super excited, Shianne, to have this conversation, to learn more about grain concaves, but why we need to pay more attention at harvest time. So maybe that's where we need to start. Let's talk a little bit about your role and what you do with Bushel Plus.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. So I'm the U.S. Technical Sales Manager here at Bushel Plus. So I have the privilege of getting to work with both our dealers and our farmers. So leading that dealer support and customer engagement while designing and implementing sales strategies, across the United States. My ag roots run deep as I was raised on my family's cow-calf operation. There's 3 generations of us located in northern Minnesota. Graduated from South Dakota State University with a double major in animal science and ag leadership. So my career has always been in ag sales, bringing that hands-on experience and deep industry knowledge and understanding. So working in ag sales, I've worked with farmers with what they deliver to the elevator as a grain buyer, and now partnering with them on what they put in the tank that comes directly off the field.
Well, it is pretty excited. And I had the opportunity during Commodity Classic this last year to see firsthand what all this is with Bushel Plus. So let's kind of start there. Tell me a little bit more about the company and how they're really focusing on the efficiency when it comes to harvest.
Absolutely. So Bushel Plus is all about helping farmers make the most out of their harvest. So we specialize in harvest optimization tools that are designed to boost both their efficiency and profitability. Whether you're running a large scale operation or a smaller family farm. We're currently located in 35 countries, and we're really excited to be growing here in the US with our tools like our Smart Pan system, Mag Concaves, and Mini Combine, like what you might have seen at Commodity Classic. We're giving farmers simple, practical ways to check their losses and improve their machine's performance, in real time. This also isn't just for our farmers to use. Some of our biggest combine manufacturers out there, like John Deere, Case, New Holland, they're also using our tools in their research and demos to show what their machines can really do. One of the other things that I personally love here at Bushel Plus, we offer Harvest Academy events. So these are hands-on sessions where farmers can learn more about how they can get more out of the equipment that they already own. It's all about giving them the confidence and control during one of the most important times of the year, that being harvest.
Now, you kind of mentioned the word optimization at one point, and from what I understand, it is known as the Harvest Optimization Company. So
Yeah.
why do you see them? I mean, there's a lot of folks out there. What you guys do at Bushel Plus, how does that set you apart from what's out there helping us get the best out of our grain?
Absolutely. So there's 2 things. First is going to be our products, and the second being our people. We have employees spanning across 5 different countries, and together we bring that collective knowledge into one company and share it not only with our farmers, but with each other, to make the best out of all of the situations that we work with. As far as our products, we have a suite of high quality products to offer farmers for all their harvest needs, no matter what kind of crops that you're in or what conditions you might be harvesting in. As we know, it can vary all across the globe. Plus, all of our products deliver a rapid return on investment to help put more money in their pockets and more grain bin.
So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about who you guys are, let's get to the meat of all of this, and that's harvest loss. That is something that, I think we get so focused on getting the crop out, getting it out at an optimal time, that sometimes we might forget what isn't going through the combine or what's falling out back into the field.
Yeah, you ultimately can't manage what you don't measure. A lot of the times, grain loss out the back of the combine is one of those hidden hits to profitability. It might not look like much, but even just 2 to 3% loss can add up so fast across those acres. And if you're not checking, you don't know what you're losing. Ultimately, we're not seeing those 2022 and 2023 crop prices, with inputs, rent, insurance, and all the other costs seeming to continually rise. Every dollar and every penny counts more now than ever before. And so increasing that harvest profitability starts with running your combine as efficiently as possible and accurately measuring those harvest loss. Knowing how much grain is being lost and why allows our farmers to fine tune their settings and optimize machine performance to protect those profits.
So, they might think, okay, I have this combine. It's got the latest, the greatest, all the technologies. Why is it important then for them to understand calibration and how that's going to impact what they see at harvest time?
Yeah, our machines are only getting better and better, but harvest conditions constantly change. You live in the Midwest. Sometimes we see all four seasons in one day, I think.
Yep.
With one day maybe being dry and the next being humid, crop moisture, residue, and terrain, all of these things affect how your combine performs. So you might have the best technology, but that means that your combine settings need to change too. What worked yesterday might not work today. And if you're not adjusting, you're leaving money on the ground.
Does that even include when you're switching, jumping from corn to bean fields, maybe corn to a wheat or a canola, whatever you're doing?
Absolutely. And especially when we're in the heat of maybe one crop, it's important to be checking these at least daily, if not more often, because conditions can change so fast.
So, what are we doing most wrong when it comes to doing the setting of these combines at harvest time?
Yeah. I would say many farmers rely too heavily on their factory settings or those built in sensors. Those are great starting points, but they're not tailored to your every crop, your every field, and the ever changing conditions. And loss sensors require calibration to work properly, which means that you need to measure and benchmark from what's actually going out the back to provide the most useful information to you as the operator.
So I wanted to ask then, what are we? This is, I guess I'm going to rephrase this. This is making you put a different hat on
Yeah.
because what folks don't know is you used to be in that role of grain merchandising. So kind of walk us through the economics of loss and what you guys are seeing.
Absolutely. Like I said before, we're not seeing those crop prices that we used to see back, even just a few years ago. So the numbers tell a powerful story. Starting off, we're going to just give an example of corn at 200 bushels an acre with the cash price at around $4. We'll say 405 a bushel. A 3% harvest loss is about 6 bushels. So 2430 over, per acre, over 1,000 acres, that's $24,000 in lost revenue. At 5% loss, that jumps to 10 bushels an acre for a loss of $40,000. None of us want to see those numbers being thrown out the door of our combines. And so it's important that we're checking what those losses are. Looking at beans, I know that's another big one here in the Midwest. A 70 bushel an acre crop loss, or 70-acre profit that we're seeing on the fields at $10. At 3%, that's a $21 loss per acre. That's $21,000 for 1,000 acres. A 5% is exceeding $35,000. These aren't just numbers. These are real losses that are preventable. A small investment of your time with the right tool making a huge difference on operations.
So, all right, you're talking tools, Cheyenne. What exactly is there and how accurate? How do we find out what that loss is?
Yeah. So one of our biggest tools that I'm talking about right now is going to be our smart pan system. And so this is a remote controlled drop pan that offers the most accurate and safe tool available to measure what's actually coming out of the back of your combine. So you attach this underneath the rear axle to catch a sample. It's a simple but powerful way to move that guesswork from data driven insights.
So, what makes it so different then, or makes it different from other drop pans that somebody might be using at this point?
Yeah. So a few things to highlight here. One is the simplicity. It's going to be as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, as you can see on the screen here. You're going to mount it, drop it, separate, and then calculate. So our pan is actually encapsulated, so it's covered. We've all seen the rear axle of a combine. It is far from clean unless you're getting it fresh off the lot. You go ahead and you mount it underneath with the two magnets that come attached on the smart pan capsule. Once you have it attached, you can either use the remote or the app itself to drop it. Using the air separator there on step 3 is how you put whatever is caught in that catch pan, you put it in there, it'll separate everything out. So the mog will be blown out, the grain left behind. And then using our scale that's included, you put what left or what is left there from the grain in that scale to measure it, enter it within the app, and it'll calculate exactly what your losses are per acre.
All right, wait a second. You're saying that there's an app for this that they can utilize to help do some math calculations?
Absolutely. And it's pretty easy to use as well. And so, as you can see here on the screen, you just go through, select what crop you were in, what size pan you were in, what your spread pattern is, and all of the math is already pre-entered in there. So after you enter in what your losses are and what you're currently seeing, at the end you hit calculate and it'll show you exactly what your losses are, as easy as punching everything in.
So that means farmers are already utilizing this. I saw the crowds that you guys had at Commodity Classic is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you during Nebraska Ag Live. What are they saying back to you about the products that they're using?
Yeah. So it's being used across all types of farms, from large commercial operations to, like I said before, just small family farms. And one of the most common things that I hear from our farmers who have a drop pan on their combine is, I had no idea how much I was losing until I actually measured it. Unless you're actually measuring it, it's hard to see everything that's being thrown out the back of a combine. That smart pan is also used by leading combine manufacturers for their research and development, for their combine development, demonstrations, and benchmarking, which makes it one of the most trusted systems on the market. And that alone speaks volumes. We've seen farmers cut harvest loss from as high as 8% down to 1% with just a few tests. Real way to save money in real time. I myself have seen it with working in the fields with some of our guys out there currently, especially our custom harvesters. We've got some guys down in Oklahoma that we have a real life example. They had 4 combines in the field, tested the first 3, and we were all under 1% loss. However, the fourth, we dropped the pan and we were about 14 bushel an acre loss. And that's huge,
Wow.
especially for our custom harvesters. We don't want to be throwing anything out the back. And so when we got to looking at it, turns out they just had a small thin layer of mud over those loss sensors. So everything he thought was set correctly, and the screen was showing that there was minimal to no losses, but we didn't catch it until we dropped that pan and really saw what's being thrown out the back.
Well, we're going to quickly run out of time, unfortunately, but I wanted to real quick talk about how you change the concaves between crops, because from what I've been told, it's pretty simple.
Absolutely. So we offer our MAD concaves, which allows maximum airflow and density, are all high performance aftermarket concaves designed to improve your thrashing efficiency, your reducing grain loss, and optimizing your combine's performance. And so what we're looking at here is actually our split frame designs for our Deere machines. We do make them for our mid-range case series as well. And it's as easy as switching out the inserts. So depending on what crops you're in, we should be switching out concaves. But with your typical OEM concave, we all know that they're extremely heavy. And so they're about 35 pounds for those inserts there. So when it comes to changing crops, it takes more time to get the plastic off the sides than it does to change out those concaves. So it's just 2 bolts that hold each insert up. So you pop those out, put the new ones in, takes about 20 minutes. The guys and I have raced. I'm the slow one. It takes me about 20 minutes to get them all changed out.
So, as we wrap up, this was another thing that I saw that is absolutely the coolest thing invented ever, the mini combine.
Yeah. So our mini combine is a great way to not have to get the big combine out in the fields, but be able to check and see which fields are ready to go before you're out there in the fields and have to figure out how are we going to blend down the crop that we have in the back of our tank. So it's a handheld mini combine. So you go out in the field, works great in our small grains, and you can easily take a sample of all areas of the field and then put it in your moisture tester to see what we're working with before the combine goes out there. I know it's quick to grab your combine and want to be out in the field when you see the neighbors going. Doesn't always mean that it's ready, but it's a quick way to save time and resources to get out there and check your fields for what your conditions might be.
Well, Cheyenne, I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today during Nebraska Ag Live. Nobody wants to have to deal with loss. I think remember walking in the fields with a neighbor about 2-3 years ago, and he was like, "Look at all the corn that's laying out here." So here's another example, of why they need to have this conversation with you guys. Much appreciated. You guys have great social media out there. Where can somebody go to find out more information and, more importantly, learn about grain loss?
Absolutely. Farmers can go to bushelplus.com to learn more about our products and locate a dealer near them. They can also call our number listed there on the website, or 833-376-7726, to talk to either myself or one of our other technical team members on the topic or ask any questions that they might have about our technology.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Shianne, for joining us.
Yeah,
Next week on Nebraska Ag Live, we're going to talk with the folks at AFAN as we learn more about what they're doing to advance livestock production right here in Nebraska. Thanks for joining us. It's another edition of Nebraska Ag Live. I'm Susan Littlefield with the American Ag Network.